Well, good morning, Travels with Dottie here, and I got a check, and it is the 6th of January, 2026, here in beautiful Quartzsite, Arizona, sitting outside my rig, which this year I'm staying in an RV park, Arizona Sun RV Park, and I'm having a pretty good time. I've been here since December 1st, and it's great. Now, I've done quite a few videos, and the one I'm getting a lot of questions on is the dental work that I've got done. So I thought I'd make a video not only about that, but your health and taking care of your health if you're going to be spending the winter in Quartzsite like I do. Because I've had a lot more done here health-wise than kind of the major dental surgery I just had. I might surprise you to know that when I was boondocking last year in La Posa South, which is just parking in the desert without hookups or anything, that in March I actually had hip replacement surgery done in Yuma, and I recovered in my trailer up in La Posa South. Yeah. So how that went, and if you're interested in the details, at the end of this video, I'm going to put my playlist where I have over 10 videos that describe in detail pre-surgery, surgery, post-surgery, exactly what it was like every step of the way, and I show you everything. So especially if you're thinking or you're hearing from a doctor that, hey, you're eventually going to have hip replacement surgery, and you want to know everything about what it's like from a patient standpoint, there's a lot of information on that playlist. So, like I said, a friend of mine and I drove down to the outpatient center where they replaced my hip. And an hour after I woke up from the surgery, they had me on a walker. And how did they test how I was doing? They walked me out to the car. I got in the car. I didn't drive. My friend drove. We went back to Quartzsite. I got in my trailer, and I had a friend of mine that was checking in on me every day and helping out. I could have done it myself, but my buddy Cheryl Pup Camper 58, that's her YouTube channel. She was there. She was a nurse during the Vietnam War, so I had the right help there. But don't think that it's necessary to have a nurse. You might get lucky like me and have a good friend like that, but you can do it with minimum help, and I did. That was last year, last season. What did I do this season? Well, I went in and found that a root canal and a crown that they warned me not to do last year. They said, you're really taking a risk here doing this because we don't think the tooth is strong enough for it. And you got about a 50-50 chance of it failing. And it did fail when I was in New York. So basically, I had a root canal fail. I had a bridge with 3 teeth on it. And when they looked at it, when I got here, they just said, look, you've got, that bridge has to come out. And to really do, and you not only have that where it failed, the one next to it failed as well. And you're just going to have to get implants. Before I tell you what it costs me and everything and time, I'm going to explain what an implant is. Because before I got this age and retired, I don't think if I ever heard the term implant, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know what it was. I thought you either kept your teeth or you got dentures like my dad had. And there is another alternative to dentures, and that is implants. And I'm going to put this up in the corner here so you can follow me as I talk about the anatomy of a dental implant. The first thing that happens is the implant procedure is they take a titanium screw and they screw that up into your jaw. In my case, it's the upper jaw. It could be lower jaw. And so you have a titanium screw, then you have 3 other parts. The 2 other parts, excuse me. You've got the implant screw, then you have an abutment which goes on the top of that, and then the actual crown attaches to the abutment. You can see examples of all the things here. Sometimes there's not enough healthy bone in the jaw to accept that screw, so you need what's called a bone graft, and they build up the bone material, and that can either be what they call a minor or a major bone graft. And I won't go into that detail. I did require, for one of these implants, it required a bone graft. Okay. So generally the timeline for this is they do that work with putting the implant screw in, and you have to wait, depending on the dentist that you're using, anywhere from three to 4 months is the average, because they want that bone to integrate fully around that implant screw. So it's not something you can go in and get everything done in a couple of days. You have this first stage happens, and then there's months of healing. So one of the things that they do and they did with me is, where all that work was done, after there was enough healing, there was 2 weeks of healing post-surgery, they put in a partial denture. You can see it here, right there. It's a partial denture, and that's going to stay there until I go back and have the abutments put on and the crown. And in my case, they suggest 3 or 4 months. I said, well, I'm not going to be here in 3 or 4 months, and I don't really come back. Will it hurt anything if I just use the denture until I come back next December? Be December 2026. And they said, actually, no, it doesn't hurt anything at all. It only helps. The longer you give time for your jawbone to integrate, the better off you're going to be. So no problem. As long as I was willing to tolerate this denture for a year, which I totally am, that's what's happening. So what was it like? Well, let's say you want to know cost, don't you? Okay, so let me go through it. The implants, 2 implants and crowns, it was listed on my estimate as one item, which it's the implants, the screw and the bone, the abutment, and the final crown was $2,600 for 2. So that's $1,300 a piece. The bone graft and extracting the dead teeth, the teeth that weren't viable anymore, that there was 1 bone graft and 2 extractions, and that was $600. A partial temporary $200, while the denture implant heals. So that's the denture, and the single crown. This is a little complicated, but they had to remove a bridge, and when they removed the bridge, up here, right here, was actually a good tooth, a good root canal, and a good crown, but it was attached to that bridge, which was no longer any good. So they had to do a brand new crown to have it stand alone here, and that's exactly what they did. All right, and that was another single crown, $200, and then a temporary, another $200. And then the removable denture was another $240. So the total for everything was $3,800 for all this work. And if you're not familiar with dentist costs, that may sound like a lot, but if you go and do this in the United States, it's going to be orders of magnitude more than that. Anywhere between $7,000 and $12,000, depending on where you go. And I certainly believe it's definitely half the cost that it would be. And even if you have dental insurance, many dental insurance policies do not pay for this procedure, for these implants. And many of them have maximum annual limits. So I did another video where I looked into Delta Dental, which is kind of the premier dental plan, and I looked into all their plans, and I was really surprised at how little they cover when you have these major procedures done. So I feel like I got a really good deal. Now, let me talk about what it was like. Okay, so I go in and they do, the first thing they did was they removed the whole crown that was, not crown, but bridge that was failing. And they prepared that first tooth for a replacement crown. They put a temporary crown in. And then I was said, come back in a week and we'll have the permanent crown done right here. And the specialist will be in, meaning the dental surgeon will be in with his team to do your implant and bone graft. So it was a Monday. I went in, had that first part done, and then I came back a week later on a Monday, same time, and she took out the temporary, put in the permanent one. Very happy with that. And then the surgeon came in with his team of assistants, and it was about 90 minutes of work that there was no pain at all. There was plenty of Novocaine, where he did the bone graft and they did the extractions. He pulled the 2 teeth that were bad. He did the drilling into the upper jaw with two screws and did the bone graft and everything. And that was about an hour and a half. And when I walked out, I said, well, that wasn't bad at all. I was still numb. By the time I got home that night, I had this very persistent dull ache, and they had prescribed this like high dose Tylenol and some other medication. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was 2 different kinds of basically over the counter pain medications. And that helped quite a bit, but it was very uncomfortable. In my mind, I thought maybe for a couple of days. It was very uncomfortable for right up until I was due to come back in 14 days, allow 14 days of healings for them to do x-rays to check on the screws, to check on the implants, and to fit me with this denture that you see here, a partial denture. It's these 3 teeth right here. And I got to tell you, it was uncomfortable right up until the morning I woke up to go to Mexico. For the first morning, I didn't wake up because I was having that dull aching pain. And that was, today's Tuesday. It was yesterday. So I don't have any pain at all right now. I didn't take any pain medications this morning. So, and it's especially with with this on, for some reason, it's less painful. Last night when I took it out, if you have a denture, you have to take it out and clean it at night, and you sleep with it out. It was a little uncomfortable after I took it out, but as soon as I got up this morning and cleaned everything and brushed and put it back in, pain-free. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, if you've never had a denture, here's the process. Like right now, you can't really see, but there's a big sort of plastic feeling lip that goes up into the roof of my mouth that's the basis for the denture. And it feels really odd. Not painful. I wouldn't call it uncomfortable, I would call it odd, and my tongue won't stay away from it. It's like my tongue has a mind of its own and it keeps feeling it, and it just feels weird. That's the best way to describe it. And when I researched it, the research came back and said, that's the way people describe it. And what happens over a period of days, and maybe a week or 2, is your brain adjusts to this foreign thing in your mouth. And after a couple of weeks, you're kind of back to normal. But it's very solid. And I ate dinner last night. I can chew with it just fine. I can bite down, and it's solid, and it feels really pretty good. Hey, did you see who's here? That cat is going to try to sneak out here, and I'm going to have to interrupt the video to make sure, because George, you'll run away if you come out here, won't you? Because she still thinks we're at home in New Mexico and she wants to go to the casita. George does not understand there's no casita here. But no matter many times I explain it, George does not understand there is no casita here in Quartzsite. It's really going to freak her out when we go back in March and the casita's back. He's going to be like, what the hell is going on here? First there's a casita, then there isn't one, then there is one. Poor George. Where's Dottie? Here. There's Dottie, right on her bed. So that's pretty much the whole story, and I'm hoping this answers the very high volume of questions that I got, both direct through email and through comments asking about what did it cost and asking questions about it. And I hope that answered it. And people want to know, where do I go? I go to Borderline Dental in Algodones. It is one of hundreds, I think, dental places in this little town. Right? It was recommended to me by a person that lives full-time in Yuma, and I went there. I've been going there for 3 years. Are they perfect? No. There was one procedure that there was a problem with it, and I went back the next year, and they said, yeah, there's a problem. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it for free, and they did. So I've been very happy with them. And when I research what they're doing, which is important, and researching how much they're charging me, it's right in line with a mid to high level dental practice in that town. So I'm very, very, very confident in that. And no, they don't sponsor me. They don't give me discounts because I say nice things about them in the video. That's not what this is all about. But everyone seems, guess what? Did you see it? Hang on. George, I want you to get back in there, okay? Come on, back inside. Go, 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 up, 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 up. How many of you were yelling, Rob, George is escaping? He's leaving. I told you he'd do it, though. Other health things is last year I made a decision, and I'll change my mind about this, and I'll tell you why. That just before I got the surgery, I was waiting for years to get the surgery because I was waiting for Medicare. I turned 65 last February. So I was in surgery in March, middle of March. That's how quickly that happened. And I really didn't have a regular doctor because I had, a high deductible Affordable Care Act policy in the last, my first few years of retirement. And so when I got Medicare, I decided, well, I heard things about this clinic here, La Paz Medical Clinic here in Quartzsite. So I became a new patient there and was very happy with the service, very happy with it. I've changed my mind for one reason. Is what happened was that I needed a refill on a medication when I was in Eagle Nest for the summer, and I called them, and they said, well, it was a nurse practitioner that was my primary care person. He said, your nurse practitioner has left the practice, and there isn't anyone here that's going to write that prescription without seeing you. And I said, great, can I do a televideo? And they said, we don't do televideo, you have to come in. And I said, well, I'm not going to be there until December, and it's like August. And what do I do? She said, you need to find a new doctor. So that's what I did, is I did my research. I was able to hang on long enough. So I left Eagle Nest and went to Artesia, and I did my research, and I found a family practice clinic that is housed in the hospital in Artesia, and they also have televideo should I need it. So that's the only reason I changed my mind there. Had they been able to do televideo, I probably would still be going to Quartzsite. But if you want to go there, you do have to establish yourself as a patient there. They do take Medicare, of course. And the first appointment, especially this time of year, could take a long time. So if you're going to come here every year, I would suggest you get enrolled with them as a patient as soon as you get here. So you have someplace to go that's in Quartzsite. Now, you can go in the same system, La Paz Medical System, that it all ties into the hospital in Parker. There is an urgent care and an ER up there, and you don't need to be a patient of theirs officially to go to the urgent care or the ER. So that's another alternative while you're here. The other thing I suggest is, especially if you aren't really confident about what the health insurance you have paying for air transport, helicopter transport, right? Because that can cost anywhere between a few thousand all the way up to almost $100,000, depending on the service and where you're being flown. There is a helicopter right here. It's like a half a mile from me. So there is that availability, but you can have a peace of mind for about $80 a year. It's called Air Med Care, and I have a card with them. Even though I'm sure my supplement policy for Medicare would cover it, this makes doubly sure. And they do on their website, they say, this only works with affiliated services, so you can type in your zip code and it'll show you whether the Air Med in that area is covered under their policy. And so I did that for Artesia, Quartzsite, and Eagle Nest, and it was a yes for all three. And actually, before I moved out of Pahrump, it was a yes in Pahrump as well. So I got that card. The peace of mind that if something really serious happens to me, they got to fly me to Phoenix. That even if Medicare doesn't want to pay for the whole thing, this takes care of me. And I got to tell you, there are people that tell me you don't need to do that when you have the Medicare and Medicare Plan G supplement. You're covered, but I don't trust that enough to risk this. I think it's the $79 a year. So I'll try to put that into the link for that in the description. So if you're interested in getting one of those cards, you can do that. So people really wonder about medical care here when you're going to be staying in Quartzsite. And now that I think about it, I have quite a bit of experience with it, don't I? But it's all been good. It's all been good experiences. And, people wonder about, Parker's a small town, how the terrible hospital. And all I've heard is good things about, you're going to find bad reviews out there, but the vast majority are positive. In the word of mouth, I get direct from people that have accessed the medical services here in Quartzsite have all been positive. So, a lot of the complaints are, I had to wait for a long time in the ER. Well, that's what ERs are like. You wait for a long time, and they triage people by, the ones that stand a chance of maybe dying in the waiting room get seen first. And the classic example of that is if you go in there complaining of chest pain, you're going to go straight in, and you're going to get a 12-lead EKG and blood drawn for to determine whether or not you're maybe having a heart attack. Most other things, other than if you're semi-conscious or you're having trouble breathing, that's in that same category. But if you're walking and talking, you're going to get further down on the list. You're going to have to wait a little while. All right. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else in this category that I should talk about? Yes, absolutely. I just realized. If you're in an RV park, that's not a problem. Yeah, I'm in Arizona Sun RV Park. I'm in this space. They'll find you, no problem. But what about if you're out in the desert? Well, you would think it might be enough if you know your GPS coordinates to text that to 911, but that's often not enough, especially if the ambulance and fire department's coming out to find you at night. So what people do, and it's very effective, unless you're totally alone and you don't have any friends nearby, is have someone meet the ambulance at the main road and guide them into where you are. That's the most efficient, fastest way to get the ambulance to you. And if you can't do that, make sure that you have, right now, if you're out there right now watching this video and you're in La Posa South and you're watching this on your phone or something, make sure that you have right now good, clean, accurate GPS coordinates, and save that on your phone. And be prepared. You can text that to 911. That should work for you just fine. And if you don't know how to do that, search on YouTube. There's plenty of tutorial ways that show you how to get your coordinates, and lots of suggestions. But you want to be in a position to know where you are in the desert, so help can get to you. The other thing is you want to understand where the closest you go into, and I'm going to do this real time right in front of you, and I'm going to go closest emergency vet. Okay, and the first one listed is Circle H Veterinary Hospital. It's not open 24 hours. It's they close at 5 p.m. So that's pretty close in Blythe. If that's not going to work for you, the Arizona Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care is open 24 hours a day, and that is in Peoria, Arizona. Let's see how what it's going to take to get there. It's a 2-hour drive. It's outside of Scottsdale or Phoenix, so it's out Interstate 10. It's a 2-hour drive. All right, but they're guaranteed to be open 24 hours. The other thing that you can do is you can get a listing of all the local vets and call them and see if they have a way to do things after hours and emergencies. Many of them do. But to me, I know that if I have something life-threatening, and I'll just put Dottie in the car and I'll start driving to that 24-hour vet in Phoenix. I won't mess with, because they might say, yeah, you can call us, but you go drive to Blythe and they don't show up. I want to make sure that there's going to be someone to help me. So health for your pets. There you go. There may be one in Yuma. I don't think so. Let me look at that again. We will we'll do just another search here. Let's do 24-hour vet. Let's look at the map. Phoenix, Tucson, Chandler. I was hoping for Yuma, but there's nothing in Yuma. Yeah, the 24-hour ones are all outside of Phoenix. But I think the biggest one uh, is the veterinarian in Lake Havasu that I'm aware of, and that's probably about an hour and 20-minute drive. Let's look at services. Yeah, it doesn't list emergency services. So I wasn't prepared to really do a lot of research on this for you because I've pretty much made up my mind. I'm headed to that one in Phoenix, but just start looking at the websites of the vets, making phone calls. So you don't want to be in a position something major is happening with your pet, and you don't want to be in a position where you're going to research it when it happens. It's no good. You want to be prepared with that. So I wasn't planning on that, but I'm glad I thought of it. Just as I looked down at Dottie, I realized that pet health is very important too. So if you have stuff to add in the comments, that's great. Especially if you have direct experience here, whether it's with dental or regular health or emergency care or urgent care or veterinary care, please feel free to inform viewers in the comments. And I really appreciate that. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.